Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books, salvation. Let me tell you about salvation. Oh, the planet I'm talking about, because last week we talked about the Peacemaker season finale, but I did want to take some more time to dive into the implications it could have for the future of the DCU. I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge. With me is Roxy. Hello, Roxy.
Hello, DJ.
Are you ready to discuss salvation?
Yeah, but I'm going to need to do a lot of learning.
Well, we'll see how much learning we all need to do, because we'll get into it. It'll be interesting to see what James Gunn decides to take from the comics and not take from the comics. But and it's just actually this week's actually going to be a pretty big superhero TV week, because that was Marvel's main offering at New York Comic Con, which happened last weekend while we were recording. So I don't think the news we're talking about today had happened by the time we recorded. If it was happening at the same time, if it happened earlier than that. But as always, I like to start off with comments from the previous week. As I mentioned, we talked about the Peacemaker season finale, but we also talked about Tron. So that Connor guy, there we go, got it. I'm a Tron fan, but this movie just doesn't look that interesting to me. I feel like Tron's future should be in video games. An open world Tron game would be killer. I agree with that Connor guy. Roxy, I don't know if you kept up with the Tron discourse, but you'll be shocked to learn that the third entry in a franchise that has always struggled at the box office, starring a guy that's never opened a movie to big numbers, didn't do great.
Do you think he has something on somebody?
I do. Oh, no, here's the... How deep do I want? I do have conspiracies about Jared Leto. And there's a spectrum. It ranges from studio execs look at him and think, this guy's got to be a star, right? Like, look at him. He's got to be 30 Seconds to Mars. He's got to be, right? So that's the most innocuous version, that he has the shape of a superstar, so they think he should be one. To... He's like, hey, you guys want to come to my sex cult? If you put me in this movie, you get to come be a part of my sex cult. Alleged sex cult. And that's the more nefarious end of the spectrum I have. But apparently he championed this. They had a Tron 3 script that they shelved because Tron 2 didn't do great. And then he's like, no, you need to do it. And also that minor character, he needs to be the star and he needs to be me. And so he...
Oh, it was a minor character?
Yeah, Ares apparently was like a supporting character in the original Tron 3 script they had, and from what I understand, Jared Leto was like, "That's going to be me," and he's going to be
really
the main
connected
character.
To him.
Yeah.
He felt him in his soul.
He really championed that, and I've seen reports of like Disney being like, "Hey, maybe we should stop doing Trons," which I think that's true. To also be like, it wasn't Tron's fault; it was Jared Leto's fault. It's like it can be both. It could be. This could have just been a.
What are the actual stats?
I don't. It didn't do. It had a soft opening. That's what I saw. I didn't get into the actual numbers. And I'm going to be honest, Roxy. You and I have talked about the box office a few times. That stuff just kind of glazes. I don't know what any of it means. Here's some headlines. I just looked up Tron Ares box office. The Tron Ares flop will probably end Jared Leto's leading man career. That's from The Wrap. Hollywood Reporter, no one asked for this reboot. Tron may mark the end of Jared Leto's franchise leading days. Yeah, I mean, yeah. He's Morbius. Why did you think he would be able to make Tron work?
He's got to go on he's got to do a little bit of a Robert Pattinson thing right now, where I think he's got to go do a bunch of indie movies.
I think he should do an Ezra Miller thing where he just goes away.
Yeah, no, but I mean for him. You mean for the world. I mean for him. I mean, if I'm his publicist, if I'm his manager, I think he's got to make some art house movies right now to remind people / convince people that he can act. Mm-hmm. And I actually thought he did a great job in Tron Ares. I thought he totally understood the assignment. But right now, he is like a joke. And that's weird. Yeah. Like, for some reason, even on Peacemaker, they make a joke of Jared Leto, obviously, which makes more sense because of Joker and 30 Seconds to Mars, whatever. But in general, like, I never say his name in a room where people aren't like, oh, that guy or whatever. And it's like, you just don't want to be a joke. And we were just talking about before the show, Julia Fox. And like, that's more like, she's kind of a joke of like, we love it, but it's a joke. Jared Leto takes himself very seriously. Yes. So it's odd that the public considers him like an absolute laughing stock sometimes.
Yes.
And it's like he's got a PR nightmare on his hands that he has to tackle if he wants to be the kind of megastar he clearly wants to be.
Yeah, so it says here, this is Hollywood Reporter, the Disney sci-fi tentpole pulled in a dismal $33.2 million from 4,000 theaters against a net production budget of at least $180 million. Overseas, the sci-fi epic also failed to connect, grossing $27 million from a global start of $60.2 million. I don't know what that means. It's not doing well.
I'll give them this. It did look expensive.
It did look expensive, although I've seen several people point out, and I think this is true, that most of it doesn't take place on the grid, which is the computer world that the Tron universe exists in. And it's like, yeah, that is one of the few selling points of Tron, is the grid. And so the fact that we're not on the grid, it's like, you're taking out one of the few things that people like actually like from these movies. And putting the grid stuff in the real world, the grid stuff looks cool, but it's just in the regular world.
Thought everything looked cool, honestly. I thought it was really cool looking. I thought, the fact that like whatever that Rock movie was a couple of years ago, that it was $250 million, like this looked like $180 million movie. It did.
Yeah. It looked like a lot of money. Yeah. Mike Joyce says, I liked him in Blade Runner. Yeah, he's a very small role in Blade Runner.
But he could start doing more things like that too. Like smaller roles in big franchise movies or big roles in small art house movies.
Yeah.
Again, just being as public, not what I want to see as Roxy Stryer. This is, if I am working with him, this is what I'm saying to him. Like,
yeah, I agree with your assessment there. My pushback as me, DJ Wooldridge, not as somebody working with Jared Leto, is to your Robert Pattinson example. I think as a strategic move, that's smart. Robert Pattinson's is a talented guy. Robert Pattinson's good.
Jared Leto is an Oscar winner, and at this point am confused on, is he skilled or not? So like, I don't actually know. If somebody said to you, DJ, like, are you positive that Jared's not a good actor? I don't think you'd be able to be like, yeah, I'm positive. Like,
I'm positive. I am positive at this, and I think this goes to your point. I'm positive at this moment, Jared Leto is not capable of doing a performance that I find interesting, and I think it's because Jared Leto's in the way.
Right.
And so to your point, he needs to do some roles where he gets out around.
Like shave his head.
Yeah.
Stop with the Jared Leto Jesus stuff because we can't we're distracted by it. Yeah. I honestly think shave his head, throw a baseball cap on him, put him in a different accent, give him a 20 million, 25 mil or under budget movie. Let's see where we go from there.
Okay, how about this? How about this? I'm now playing Jared Leto in this. How about instead of that, how about we do musical biopics do great? Okay. You remember the fake teeth in Bohemian Rhapsody, right? You know what I mean? Right? What about that musical biopic, but hear me out, 30 Seconds to Mars musical biopic, but I play myself, Jared Leto.
I'm going to tell you, it will actually be the end of your career if it hasn't already been the end of your career.
Wouldn't that be so fucking funny if they did a 30 Seconds to Mars biopic and he plays himself?
Jesus Christ. Leonard Kim says he's about to get a Fast and Furious cameo if that even gets made. Is that true?
I don't know. The part that is true is there is talk that if they can't cut the budget down a lot, they won't do the next Fast and Furious movie, which if you recall, the last one ended on a pretty major cliffhanger. Yeah, so that's kind of wild.
Why would he have a cameo in it?
I think maybe that's just jokes. I think that's Leonard Kim's just doing it for the yucks. Oh, King of New York says he should play Jesus in the next movie to purify his soul. Well, Roxy, hear me out. Let's think about this. We're spitballing for Jared Leto's career here.
You want him to be in Passion of the Christ too?
Because Jim Caviezel's not coming back. So let me hear your thoughts, Roxy. Mel Gibson directing Jared Leto in Passion of the Christ 2. Are you sold?
How'd you know? I'm back, baby. I'm back on board. Oh,
what would be funnier? What would be fucking funnier? What a 30 Seconds to Mars biopic where he plays himself, or he plays Jesus in the Passion of the Christ 2.
He could do alternatively, if I'm representing Jared Leto, he could lean way into Christian stuff and start doing a ton of Christian movies. He would be financially successful at that, and he wouldn't be mainstream or known, which I think is what matters to him the most. But that's a viable path for him.
If you can get into with the anti-woke crowd,
Right.
You're good. It literally doesn't matter what you do.
Right. Right.
It does not matter.
And honestly, I kind of feel like he could do that. What's that guy that we find really annoying who looks like Jared Leto, who dated Katy Perry, maybe?
Orlando Bloom?
No, sorry, didn't.
Before that, why am I blanking on his name? Get him to the Greek.
Yep.
Russell
Brand. No, Russell Brand. Yes,
yeah.
Russell Brand.
Russell Brand. Yeah.
All right, thank you. He could do that. Jared Leto could start podcasting.
Yes.
He could. Oh, Mike just said he could go the Russell Brand route. Mike, did you copy me?
I think that posted right as you were saying it. So
did you copy me, Mike? Yeah, he could definitely like keep his hair long, go anti-woke, because go woke, go broke. We know, again, being his publicist, and really lean into Jesus and taking people's rights, which is a financially viable path for him. So I've given him several options. He just needs to choose one.
It's tough for him that Tom Cruise already has a stranglehold on Scientology Jesus.
Yeah.
Because if you were to ask me who Scientology Jesus would be, I'd probably suggest Jared Leto. Which props to Tom Cruise.
You could pitch it to him still.
Props to Tom Cruise for like brand control, man. Because like the fact that that's not the first thing that springs to mind with me is how he almost died on planes and stuff.
So yeah, I do think that Tom Cruise's publicist would be an amazing get for Leto, because nobody has done deals with the devil or worked harder than Tom Cruise's PR team. It is incredible that as a society we are still so gung ho love Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we were. It was shaky for a second, but we got over it.
We got over it.
Like, what does that say about us?
I mean, we got over it.
Yeah,
because he was willing to put his life on the line for us every single time, and we were like, okay.
Yeah. That we had this conversation about F1 too. Is the trajectory of like, I mean, I guess as long as you keep making movies I like, I guess I'll accept it. And that's the trick with Jared Leto is like, no, you keep being bad in movies that are not good. That's so it's hard for me to get over the other stuff.
Yeah. Leonard Kim brings up that show that he did called We Crashed. I told you about that. That was the WeWork show that he did. And what I'll say about it is he was in that show. This is another viable path, Leonard. In that show, he was playing literally the most unlikable man on the planet.
It was a good fit. It was a good fit. So just to off ramp for this real quick, because you mentioned Robert Pattinson, and I wanted to mention a conversation I had with my wife this week because she checked out the new season of Monster, which has Charlie Hunnam, because they like their beautiful boys in those roles.
Ed Gein's show, right? I heard that it's not good.
I don't know. All I know is the conversation of, I think Charlie Hunnam's pretty talented, and a main part of that is I think a lot of people didn't see it, but there was a movie called The Lost City of Z where he plays a real life explorer, and I want to say the 1800s, and he's great in that. But I watched that movie. I got home. This was back in the Twitter heyday. I did a tweet about it, and I started noticing that I had a lot of Robert Pattinson fans liking and sharing my tweet. I'm like, what? And there was a supporting character in it that I found out because of that. I was like, wait, that was Robert Pattinson?
No way.
Because he had a huge beard. He just disappeared in the role. I'm like, God bless Robert Pattinson and was Kristen from Twilight, Kristen Stewart. And they're like, no. And I'm not trying to trash this. I haven't seen the Twilight movies. I'm not in a position to trash them. I just know the reception of them. And so God bless those two actors of like, no, we are having careers, man.
Because Taylor Lautner, I really haven't seen. That's the guy that's the wolf.
Yeah.
I mean, he went a different route. You know, he does a podcast with his wife, whose name is also Taylor Lautner.
Good for them.
And
God bless.
It's like Taylor, and they live like a very happy, in love podcasty life. But you're right. Like Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson are master classes in like, I'm gonna take
brand
my time
management
and break free.
Yeah, and do stuff, interesting stuff. And the Harry Potter kids have done that to varying degrees too. But I think the real like benchmark is Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson about like, no, I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to do these things where I don't need to be the lead. I'm just doing interesting shit.
And have the Harry Potter kids done that? Because I have seen them in other stuff, but I just don't feel like they've ever been able. Daniel Radcliffe has never been able to break away from, that's the kid from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
He's an amazing actor who's done some great stuff that I've seen.
Emma Watson had the best escape velocity, it seems, from that. Daniel Radcliffe has done the most interesting stuff. Like he's really gone out and done other stuff. But it's also tougher because I guess the Twilight kids were older when they started because they were playing teenagers, where like the Harry Potter kids literally grew up on screen, and it's harder for it's just harder for child actors in general. And I think part of it is the stuff you go through a bit. If you're literally starting as a child, your body changes a lot from being a child to being an adult, and it's hard for audiences to get past that. Like, why don't you still look like Haley Joel Osment? Why don't you still look like the Sixth? I can still see the Sixth Sense kid in you, but then there's this weird adult around it, and I don't know how to process that as a person. You know what I mean? Totally. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
We saw, what was that Rupert Grint movie that we saw? Knock at the Cabin in the Woods.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. I think that's the first time I've seen him since Harry Potter.
He was on. I think it was an M. Night Shyamalan show that was on Apple TV that nobody really watched. I think it only lasted 3 seasons, but he was on that.
What's the name of the M. Night movie I'm trying to say?
Knock at the Cabin.
Just Knock at the Cabin. It's not Knock at the Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah. But it is a cabin in the woods. Yeah. And he's done some interesting stuff. Wasn't he on a Black Mirror or something? Or am I memory holing? Or am I making stuff up? Am I Mandela affecting myself? Anyway.
When you just said that, I was picturing Jesse Plemons. They give kind of similar vibes sometimes, but Jesse.
You ever think Rupert Grint is like Jesse Plemons? Oh, if you weren't here, that would
God,
be me.
Why I oughta.
Jesse Plemons is a talented guy. God bless him.
He is so talented, and he's married to Kirsten Dunst, and the two of them are very just so good. And
I like it when they're in stuff together. Like, I didn't like that Civil War movie, but they were in together. I'm like, good. That's cool. Good job.
What was that movie that I saw that they were in together that I really liked? It had a weird ending. What was it called? You don't remember?
I don't
know. It was an Oscar-nominated movie.
Give me something.
It was a really weird one. Oscar-nominated, 2 of them. Weird ending. I can't give you more than that.
I feel like I should be able to pull this.
Like in a farm or something.
With Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
And I don't remember what it was called.
Me neither.
And it was one of those.
Oh, thank you, Mike Joyce. Power of the Dog.
Power of the Dog, which was a well done movie that I didn't much care for.
Yeah, I hear you. When I said I liked it, and I remembered it. I remember thinking they did a very good job with it.
They did good. It's one of those. Man, you guys are trying really hard to get that Oscar. You know what I mean? And those movies I tend to struggle with, where it's like, I get it, prestige. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Weird, but I think productive tangents. Going back to the comments. Greek JR2, I enjoyed the finale well enough. I think the reception is due to the first season. This is talking about Peacemaker. The first season being a mini series in a dying universe that could be its own thing, while season 2 introduces concepts that will be carried over into the larger DCU. As a result, season 1's finale felt more complete and season 2 was more open. Like Keith in season 1 would have been a huge factor in the season 1 finale since, well, we aren't getting another season, right? Whereas now they can cool on it since this universe does have a future. I think this is kind of a response to the general discourse online about people not happy with the finale. To me, it felt very like a season 2 finale. Like, I was fine with it. The only thing that's weird about it for me is we now live in a culture. Like, thankfully, we know that this will be followed up on. But like in a normal world, we'd be like, "Oh, Peacemaker season 3." Like 10 years ago, be like, "Oh, we'll follow up with this on Peacemaker season 3 next year." I'm excited about it. And now it's like, where will these things be resolved? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I do think the fact that there was no season 3 announced made people a little more skeptical about the open-endedness of this. Additionally, I think that, a lot of the cats are doing a lot of interviews right now. And like, for example, Coy Jandreau on Real Rejects was interviewing David Denman, who plays Keith the brother. And David Denman was like, I am working every day with my trainer right now. And essentially Coy was like, why? And he was like, because James Gunn says he needs me for the next 3 years. And it's like, huh. What's that mean?
God damn it.
Or like could need me for the next 3 years.
Roxy, as an actress, how do you feel about that idea? Because my understanding from what I've heard is maintaining superhero shape is not easy. It's not an easy thing. And you're like, wow, you got to do that for 3 years. God damn it.
Yeah. He talked about like how this kind of saved his life though, because I think he was in not good shape, and he got in like great shape for this this role, and worked with that trainer that all of them work with, Pablo, who did Superman and Jennifer Holland, and like all of them that are just rip yoked.
Yeah.
And puts them on crazy plans. And it does just go to speak to like, it's an unfair advantage to have money in the world. You have somebody who's planning out every meal of yours, every workout of yours, and you just need to kind of show up. I'm not saying that you don't still have to do hard work, but like when we look at these people, like, don't compare yourself to, I've been hitting the gym for a while. I was looking at Jennifer Holland. I was sitting there like, why is she so much more ripped than me? And I'm like, because money and time and all the things. Like,
yeah, to your point, like I hit the gym regularly, and I've just noticed for some reason, like I've started gaining more weight around the center, but it's like I haven't changed anything. It's like, yeah, but you're getting older, man. And so it's like, if I had a dietitian to be like, here's the things you need to eat,
you need to do,
because like you're saying, they have the money that a person tells them. I'd have to chase that shit down. Like, wait, what for my body type? What am I eating? Why am I eating? Like, what am I trying to do? It's like, I don't have time. I have a fucking kid, man. I don't have time to figure that shit out.
Exactly. So anyway, he was saying that he was so grateful for it and has found a lot of love in the working out and the whatever. But he also talked about like if he's going to get to that next level of shape, because one of his dream roles was like Kratos, God of War, and he was like, I am here, and where I would have to be is so much further. He was like, so I'm just trying to maintain until I'm called off the bench for James Gunn or whatever, and then like have that intense training period. So I think he's trying to like maintain. But yeah, he was talking about that, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this, that superhero shape. We've famously heard Hugh Jackman talk about it. It was just like, I don't want to anymore.
Yeah. It's tough, man. And then, but I do want to take a second to give that guy his flowers, because it's cool to see the romantic foil in The Office. Like the guy in a romantic comedy, the guy you need to get through, your main guy needs to get through to get the sex prize. And going to this, it's like good, because he showed up in Rebel Ridge and shit, and it's like, when you show up and shit, you're good, man. So I'm glad you're getting this moment. I like that.
Yeah. Also, he plays the love interest in The Office of Jenna Fisher. Who is Jenna Fisher? Well, Jenna Fisher famously is James Gunn's ex-wife. So curious what relationship was maintained. Just I think it's like fun lore.
What conversation's happening there? Ransom 94 says, I feel like Lex was messing with candy that Flag seemed to enjoy with the Luthor Corp goons. His face when Bordeaux kind of rejects him is that kind of lost face that too many of us have seen in faces of our loved ones when they lose control of their lesser desires. I was almost expecting him to hallucinate combos with Lex similar to the Butcher and the Boys. Time will tell, I guess. Also, the thought of Lex laughing at port pictures in his cell is hilarious, especially the black hole one. We kind of talked about this, about what we think is going on with Flag. I've seen a lot of conversation about this online where people are like, no, his arc makes sense from the previous stuff, and to people that I think kind of landed on more of ours, that it's like, there's a shape of an arc. That doesn't necessarily mean that some of his... It feels like it accelerated all of a sudden, and I don't know that it's complete. It felt to me completely justified.
Yeah. I think something else is going on there. I have a really hard time believing that we're not going to get more information on what that jump was about. But I did hear an interview with Frank Grillo. Yeah. I don't remember who. Maybe it might have been on Brandon Davis's podcast or something, where he was talking about how he felt like that closed the arc when he sees John go into the Salvation. He felt like that ended, that came full circle for him, and everything built up to that moment. And I was like, huh.
Yeah, I think because again, there's the shape of one. Like you could make the argument, like we have him in Creature Commandos, which is kind of the introduction to the character. At the end of Superman, he's seeing that kind of like the metas are running the show, despite whatever they say. And then his need for revenge puts him in bed with Lex, and he starts connecting with the Lex people. And so to kind of get his revenge, he kind of like, because he's always been, we saw in Creature Commandos, he's always been like, let's say a complicated figure. You could say all that, and I'd be like, yeah, but maybe instead of like the equally subplots, maybe we could have spent some time on this to grease the wheels a little bit more on because I think that's the hurdle in my brain that I can't quite. I get on paper my hatred for Peacemaker is going to morally compromise me in a way that I get. I don't know how that goes from.
But he literally said it wouldn't.
Fuck all metahumans. Like, wait, but Chris isn't a metahuman, so that's not. Those two things aren't connected to me in my mind.
I mean, it felt so abrupt that the fan base is questioning whether that was somebody has power over his brain or whether he's actually Clayface. Like the fan base is theorizing what that could be because that's how abrupt it felt, which is just definitely not what you want.
Yeah.
If it actually was him making a turn.
Yeah. Chemin Express says, I think Rick Flag Sr. is just getting along more with Lex's team because he realized he has more in common with them than the Argus team. He has forgotten about letting Amelia call him Rick because he doesn't need her anymore, meaning he was just using her the whole time. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. King of New York says... On top of that, DJ, I think Lex also purposely got his team to bring out the worst impulses of Flag. Maybe. I just think, I think some of that stuff, you guys say that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think in a more subtle project that would work, but in a kind of like a superhero project where he's competing for the attention of like multiple universes, I think maybe you need to spell that shit out a little bit more so that people like Roxy and I are like, wait, is this the same guy? Is it mind control? What's happening?
Because we had that scene with him in Bordeaux where he clearly is like, people think that I'm after revenge, but I'm not.
Yeah, which could have been a lie.
But that's why I feel like you need to spell it out because you're right. Based on the tone of this show, based on the world that we're in is a superhero world. If you're going to do a scene like that and it was a lie, we need to see him like, ha ha ha, got her.
Yeah. We in a world where mind control and body doubles are on the table,
right?
You need to kind of like maybe spell it out a little bit.
And different alternate Earth people are on the planet. Like, we don't know that. Yeah, Rick Flag Sr. from Earth X didn't come in here and take his other guy back. Like,
can we have that conversation? Chris should have had that conversation with Rick Flag. Listen, on this other Earth sucks, but your son's there. Your son's there.
And he's
go hang out with him over there.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo, you will do fine over on Earth X. Go hang out with your son over there.
Being on Tulsa King and being on Peacemaker at the same time, me being able to watch him both places, I just love that guy.
I just saw that movie he did, Werewolves, where it's like a zombie movie, but instead of zombies, they're werewolves. I hadn't seen it, and I heard about it. I think it was on Disney Plus. I'm like, ooh, baby, gonna watch that. Gonna have a good time watching that. I haven't seen it yet, but I just saw it. I saw that it was on the app, so I was like, I'm gonna put this in my queue and watch this later for spooky.
I watched him when he was doing press for that on Katie Sackhoff's podcast, and he said that it was like an $8 million budget or something, relatively tight. And I think that because of that, I think he was able to do actually pretty well, which is cool.
Yeah, it's so funny that if you don't spend all the money, you might actually be able to make some money. It's so crazy. Anyway,
or keep making Tron movies. See what happens.
Blow your load on Tron with Jared Leto in the lead. Or what you could do is you could go over to graveyardshiftcomic.com and go check out my latest Kickstarter, which is a horror comic that takes place at a fast food restaurant that has an overnight shift, and the staff people have to survive murderous mascots and bloodthirsty customers. It's an irreverent horror thriller in the vein of, listen, if you like movies like Gremlins or Evil Dead or Cabin in the Woods or Attack the Block or stuff like that, a lot of the ones I love. The Thing, the cool thing about the stories, we got to touch on a lot of different types of horror storytelling. If you want to check that out, go to graveyardshiftcomic.com. If you're watching the video, you can see our 3 variant covers. One by our main artist, David Stoll, one by Ryan Lee, and one by Chloe Brailsford. So you can get one or all 3 of those covers. You can get drawn into the comic. There's plenty of cool rewards if you guys want to go over to graveyardshiftcomic.com and back it. Support independent art. Please and thank you. Now, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our charity of the month. This month's charity is the International Rescue Committee, which is working to help the people of Gaza as they face famine, ethnic cleansing, and genocidal violence. As the IRC website notes, over 64,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza and more than 160,000 injured since October 7th, 2023. Nearly 2 years of conflict have left over 2 million Palestinians, half of whom are children, without access to sufficient water, food, or medical care. Famine has become a deadly reality. Despite restrictions on aid delivery, the International Rescue Committee continues to reach Palestinians with life-saving healthcare, cash, and emergency support. With operations in more than 40 countries around the world, your donation to the IRC will deliver critical aid where it is needed most. If you're like me and you're deeply concerned about this crisis and desperately searching for any way to help, I highly recommend you check out rescue.org. Now back to the show. Now let's go into news real quick. So over at New York City Comic Con, Marvel didn't have a big showing, but they did talk about their TV stuff. They had a panel where they talked about Wonder Man, which lands on Disney Plus in January 27th. We're going to circle back to that because we got a trailer. So January is Wonder Man. After that is Daredevil Born Again, which apparently is going to drop in March. And they saw a trailer on the floor, but we didn't get the trailer. We've got in the summer.
Trailer for what? For Daredevil?
Daredevil. We got a trailer for Wonder Man, but only the people at New York Comic Con got a trailer for Daredevil season 2. And I think it's confirmed they're getting a season 3, which good for them. In the summer of 2026, X-Men 97 is coming back for its second season, and Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is coming back. Daredevil will return on that show. It's an animated show in an alternate universe, but the Daredevil is in season 1 of that. He'll be in season 2. Venom's going to show up. Gwen Stacy's going to show up. And then we got information, the people at New York Comic Con got information on Vision Quest, which Marvel is saying is going to close the trilogy that is also comprised of WandaVision and Agatha all along. They're kind of packaging these as 3 parts of one larger story. And people at the convention got to see the logo. Paul Bettany showed up and revealed some story details that White Vision is struggling to make sense of what Red Vision did to him in WandaVision. As a result, he's seeing digital or robotic characters like Ultron, with James Spader returning, Friday, played by Orla Brady, and even Dumb E, which is the little arm robot that was in Iron Man 1, played by Henry Lewis, in human forms. He's seeing these robots in human forms. And Vision and Wanda's son, Tommy, who this article calls Speedball, in the comics is codenamed Speed. Speedball is a different character, so I don't know if they're conflating the two or if this was just a mistake. His son, so we got Wiccan in Agatha all along. We're getting Speed in Vision Quest, and that character will be played by Rurid Molika. That show's got a vague window of 2026, so maybe the last show of the year. So before we get to the Wonder Man trailer, which we will talk about, how are you feeling about these TV announcements, Roxy?
Good. Make a bunch of sounds until it goes away, Roxy. I feel conflicted. So when it comes to animated shows, we know I didn't watch X-Men 97 or Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I hear X-Men 97 was amazing. I hear Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was surprisingly good from some people and other people not. So
I ended up liking it, by the way. We watched it for Spider-Verse, and it ended up winning me over.
So those mean nothing to me, and happy for the people, because except I know there was all that X-Men 97 drama, so I'm super curious what season 2 is going to be like, behind the scenes drama.
Yeah.
So those don't mean much to me. Daredevil is a show that this season you and I had the same favorite episode. Everybody else hated that episode. So I'm a little concerned about the future of Daredevil, because I'm like, what is it that the people want? But people seem to really like the last 2 episodes, which is the new direction they're going in. So yes, the thing that I'm most focused on of all these announcements is Vision Quest, because Wanda has always been my favorite character in the MCU. And I was one of the few, I think yourself included, DJ, who did not love WandaVision. Yeah. Which was such a bummer for me, because if you're going to make a show about my favorite character who's never had her own movie, despite being in the MCU for longer than a lot of people who have, and then you're going to give her a show, and who should be the absolute target demo, didn't like it, but everybody else seemed to love it. I'm like, oh, okay. So is any of this like particularly new information? Not really. We would have to figure when they announced Vision Quest that this was going to be about the two of them and their child, or possibly children. We'll see the overlap between Agatha and this or whatever. But am I a little nervous for this? Yeah, I am. How are you feeling?
We'll see. I still think they're like, you're doing too much. You're doing too. Calm down. And
it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. I do like that like, no, Vision's in a weird headspace, so he sees all these famously CG characters as just their human actors. I'm like, oh, that's probably a good choice. That's probably smart.
FaceTime.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see James Spader returning as Ultron. That'll be an interesting follow-up on that. It could be really cool. It could be. I had mixed feelings on Agatha too. It is weird that this guy has so much runway. I think I'm still in a space of like, we're still building to Young Avengers, man. We're still just give us the fucking Young Avengers, man.
I feel like they're not going to, DJ, which is why all of this kind of like, I guess that's the overarching thing here is like, what does this matter? I can't believe that we basically have a WandaVision season 2. Yeah. And we had an Agatha show, which was like kind of season 1.5. So like we're getting 3 seasons of this stuff.
Yeah.
To what end?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. What are we? Because it's not just, and that, I think that's as put Marvel in a box where it's kind of like, because you don't go into, Abbott Elementary being like, to what end? Well, just if you like the show, there'll be another season. This is a different animal to like, what are we building toward? Because I'm not thinking about Vision Quest season 2 because I kind of already know that's not going to be on the table. Like that's not a thing.
There's a show that I love called Mythic Quest. You've heard me talk about. Yeah. And they did an offshoot this year called Side Quest. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very funny that this is another quest show because this does feel like a side quest. This feels like a side quest from the MCU. And like you just said about Abbott Elementary, that they're expecting us to like kind of deal with in a bottle. But it's like, but she's a character. They're both characters that come from our big leagues. So there is no bottle.
Yeah, it's such a weird, whatever. It'll be interesting. I think this connects to, I will say, just I'm kind of glad they're not doing that with Daredevil Born Again. Just gets to be its own thing. I am with you, Roxy, because the more I found out about it, it's like, hey, the stuff you really liked about season 1 of Daredevil Born Again? That was the old show. That sucks. We're done with it. The stuff that was shaky, that's the new direction. That's the new hotness. I'm like, whoa. Wait a second, what?
I know, and people seem stoked about that. And I was like, was I missing something? But in general, I love that character and I love Charlie's performance and I like the world we built. So it's very likely that I like that season. And
Kristen Ritter's coming back as Jessica Jones, which is great. And apparently I think it was Brad Winderbaum, who's head of the TV part is like the Daredevil team is in communication with the Spider-Man team. And everybody got real amped on that. I'm like, well, pump your brakes because Punisher is in both. So there is, it doesn't necessarily, as much as I want to see Charlie Cox's Daredevil in the new Spider-Man movie, that isn't necessarily what he's saying. But John Bernthal should be back for season 2. So there's going to be a lot to like. I'm just a little nervous. But
that world that we used to watch. Do you remember Tom Pelphrey from Iron Fist?
Yeah, he's great.
He's so good. He's on a show called Task right now.
We're going to talk about it because I've been meaning to watch it because I found out he's in it. And
he's so stupid good. It's like,
because he was great in a thankless role in Iron Fist. Like he was in a role that should have been like killed off in episode 2, and he was great in it.
Thankless show.
He was in a show called Banshee that I have a lot of affection for. It was a Cinemax show that I believe is on HBO Max now.
Ozark.
And he played his character was a reformed neo-Nazi that had full like Nazi tattoos from his past life. And so he was so good that you couldn't help but like the guy. Like he's trying to change, man. He's trying to change.
A reformed neo-Nazi is quite the sentence.
Yeah. Well, again, like, and the Banshee is kind of like a grindhousey action. Like they go for like really like blood and tits and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Like really like exploitation.
I've heard that show's amazing though.
It's a blast. And the same creators on it went on to do Warrior, which is even better. So I do recommend those shows, but it is a character that at the time shouldn't have worked, but especially now shouldn't work. But he's so good that it works, that you're like, no, I actually really like this guy. He's great. So when I like Mark Ruffalo, but I didn't see Mayor from Easttown, who it's apparently the same creators doing Task. But then I found Tom Pelphrey was in it. I was like, playing a heist family. I'm like, well, hold on a second. This sounds like it's up DJ's alley.
We'll talk more about it, but
check out what we're into, patreon.com.
There's a lot of people, now that we're bringing back Jessica Jones, there's just a lot of really good actors that came from that universe. So it'd be fun to see a few more cameos.
And it'd be cool to have Mike Coulter back as Luke Cage. The only problem is once you start doing that, is like, are you going to do it? Are you going to pull the trigger? Are you going to pull the trigger on Danny Rand? You going to do it?
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either.
What is he up to?
Who knows, man? That's a bummer too, because he could have had a perfectly fine career. It's just he chose the wrong role, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. He wasn't good in it. And now it's
his publicist. No,
he should star with Jared Leto in a Jesus movie. So let's talk about this Wonder Man trailer that we got. And oh man, I left my Graveyard Shift banner up. That wasn't intentional, gang.
Yes, it was.
Go over there. Let's talk about this Wonder Man trailer, Roxy, because I don't. I should have looked at. I don't know the responses online, but it does feel weird. So for people that didn't watch the trailer, it's like 2 minutes. Check it out. Basically, there was a Wonder Man movie in the Marvel Universe that a famous director in that universe, who's played by the same actor that played the evil president in Superman, and who's also a great character actor who's in the Pusher movies. He's going to resurrect Wonder Man, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen wants to be in it. And the only superheroes... the main connection to the MCU is God, what the fuck? Why did my brain just completely blink out? Ben Kingsley returning from Iron Man 3 and Shang-Chi as his actor mentor, but nary a mention of actual superheroes in this universe or whatever, or Wonder Man. Based on this trailer, for all we know, Wonder Man never becomes a superhero. He's just always this character in the movie, for all we can tell.
I need you to actually tell me what's going on here. I go back and do it slower, DJ. I watched this trailer and was like, wait, what?
Yeah, it feels like Marvel is like, what if we did our own version of the studio? And it's like, that could be fun, but why? why would you?
Wonder Man in general?
Okay, so Wonder Man in the comics is one of those characters that has a really weird, it's not a clear-cut origin, like Captain America, World War II, Frozen in Ice, present day. Boom. Wonder Man, it's I think he was an actor, and then he got turned into a particle monster, and then he joined the Avengers, and then they did da-da-da with him, and then they did da. No, it's one of those characters that they never really know what to do with, so they do everything with. This isn't a show, seemingly,
it's not a Wonder Man show. It's about the making of a Wonder Man
show? In the Marvel Universe.
And did we know it was going to be that? Did people think this was going to be a Wonder Man show?
I don't know. We knew it was going to be kind of a Hollywood satire to a degree. At least for me, I didn't know it'd be to this degree, to the degree that is the whole show. And granted, I'm coming at this I like She-Hulk. This is also set in LA, so I'm kind of secretly hoping that there's a She-Hulk shows up in an episode as this lawyer or something. And that was more comedic. I like that. I actually would probably like this show. Will general Marvel audiences? Probably not.
I kind of have the same feeling, DJ. I was like, I'm talking about it skeptically right now, not because I don't think I'll like it, because this actually seems kind of up my alley.
Yeah.
But because I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What's happening right now? Who greenlit this?
And also, how much are we paying Sir Ben Kingsley to show up in episodes of our silly little Wonder Man show?
I hope this show's awesome. So Daniel Cretton's doing this show completely? Wow.
Oh, is he? God.
Well, he's directing. He created the show apparently.
Okay.
And he's directing half the episodes.
Okay, so Roxy, I got to ask you this. There's a part of the trailer that they're like, the director guy's like, we're going to do this like nobody's ever done this before. We're going to do, he's implying this is going to be crazy. Do you think, my question is, based on this trailer, do you think Yahya Abdul-Mateen is going to get superpowers? And do you think it's them trying to like method the movie? Like how are they going to justify that? Is the director being like, we're going to do this crazy thing, like we're actually going to give our star powers? Or do you think it'll just be like, no, this is just an actor in the Marvel universe?
You mean like in a Gen V kind of like injection way?
Something, or like something closer to the comics where they shoot them full of particles or whatever. Some sort of like, I just think
that would be great. And then he becomes Wonder Man.
He becomes Wonder Man
in our
real
Marvel
world.
universe.
Yes.
Yeah, I do think that's what they're gonna do.
But isn't that weird in a universe where you actually have? Is that going to impress anybody? Because you're in a world with superheroes. Like,
I don't know. I guess
we'll find out, man.
It's in January. I'm like really looking forward to seeing WTF this is.
Yeah, man, for real. I like that actor a lot.
Who? Yaya?
Yeah, he's great. We just, for Retroversity, we just rewatched Aquaman. I think he's great. And so I think in the trailer, he looks like he's having fun. I have mixed feelings about the Trevor Slattery character. I like Ben Kingsley a lot, and he has fun in that role. So it's hard to be mad at it.
When you said you hadn't looked on the online discourse, from what I saw, the majority of the comments were about Yaya being like, good job jumping from DC ship to Marvel ship, like something about jumping ship from DC Aquaman to Marvel.
Okay. Will we get other seasons of the show? Will he show up in Avengers? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll love him. Out. I think he's really, really good. And this will be nice to see comedic chops a little bit.
Do you think it'll be another one where they just jump every episode on a weekend? The end.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But I do think or hope that they do like a first 3, then 1 a week.
Okay. Well, we're going to jump. Speaking of jumping from the DC to the Marvel ship, we're going to jump back to the Peacemaker finale.
Whoa! He called him Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Oh damn! Which spoilers for that finale if you haven't watched it already. But it ends with Peacemaker being dumped on a planet called Salvation. As Roxy pointed out in an episode, I had made the connection that this was a reference to a comic from 2007 and 2008 called Salvation Run, which it was in the lead up towards Final Crisis, which was the big event of that year being 2008. And basically, similar to this show, I think it's more of a Amanda Waller thing, but similar to this show, they're like, man, fuck all these metahumans. Let's just dump them someplace. And so they dump all their biggest supervillains on an alien world to fend for themselves. And similar to Peacemaker, it's like, yeah, it's a peaceful world. They'll be fine. And then it's like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Actually, it's not so peaceful. From what I understand of the comic, and again, I didn't read this at the time. So a little just behind the scenes, gang. I did this time, this was back in the day where I did pick up events. I almost never picked up event tie-ins because they almost always suck. And so I don't do the tie-ins or the lead-ups. So I just pick up the body of the event. I don't even pick up event comics now. But I did read Final Crisis because it was written by Grant Morrison, one of my favorite creators. And fun fact about this comic, apparently the original pitch was by George R.R. Martin. I just saw that. I didn't confirm that. So if that's not true, sorry. And it was written by Bill Willingham and Leela Sturgis, but apparently in the comic,
that would be wild if it is true, huh?
Yeah, it just and how did that whatever. Anyway, how did he was he just hanging out at a Comic-Con? Was like, hey, by the way, guys, you should do this. And they're like, do you want to write? And he's like, nope, I'm still working on Winds of Winter. My understanding is part of what made the world not peaceful in the comics is a new God character that works for Darkseid made it hostile. It's unclear whether that's the case in this one. I know James Gunn, I think I have a quote here. Yeah, so there's a quote from James Gunn. He was talking to he was doing an event moderated by Variety, and I pulled this from the Variety article. He said, it's really about the concept. The part that really spoke to me was the beginning of it, where Rick Flag Jr. and Amanda Waller said, fuck it, metahumans are a pain in the ass. They keep escaping. Let's just get rid of them permanently. He's referring to the comic there. And of course, there are a bunch of repercussions about sending a bunch of bad guys to another dimension. In this case, talking about the show and the DC universe, kind of, the sole person there right now is a good guy who has to survive on his own. And he kind of mentioned that Oh yeah. I like the concept of creating a prison that was absolutely inescapable, but was also a little rash because they didn't think because they think it's not dangerous from their initial tests. But in the comics and in this world, obviously there's a hint of it being dangerous. And at the end of the show, we get like creature sounds coming from the woods that imply that Peacemaker's going to have a tough old time in there. He's definitely going to have a tough time, per our other conversation, keeping up that muscle mass. I don't know what kind of proteins are out around where he is.
I wonder
it's tricky. It's going to be tricky.
I wonder if we'll see like if they try to give protein sources or like food through this. It's just surprising to me that they would even care if it was a safe world. Why do they care?
Yeah. I think it's. I understand it. I understand what you mean. I do think it's that little level of little justification where it's like, well, at least we're not putting them on a dangerous world. I know that's harder. That probably would have made sense a few years ago, where our country wasn't run by complete sadists the goal is to hurt people as much as possible.
I just think that they would kill all of them if they could, but they physically can't, so they're sticking them here. So I don't feel like they care if they live or die or if it's dangerous.
I mean, we are in a world where we keep putting Joker back in Arkham as opposed to just putting a bullet in his brain. So I guess that's the kind of logic we're dealing with, because he mentions in the show this is better than Arkham. So there's a bit of, to your point, Roxy, there's a willing suspension of disbelief. Because it's like, Batman, I don't give a fuck about your no-kill rule. This is the guy. He's killed hundreds of people. Throw him off a bridge, man. This one guy, I think we'll all forgive you. Throw this one guy off a bridge. So there's that willing suspension of disbelief of like, well, we're not going to kill him. Why not? We're just not, because of sequels. And so instead of Arkham and Bel Rev, we're going to throw them on this planet to fend for themselves.
That's the other thing that we hear from Rick Flag when he's like, we're sending you in there to be the test dummy.
Yeah.
So part of me, and this hasn't been the marketing since, but part of me was like, oh, are they only putting him in there temporarily? Like, is he the one testing out this world? And then they're going to pull him back? Because I think that's how he said it. Like, you get to be our test dummy.
You're basically patient zero. Yeah.
But I didn't know if that just meant like you're the first, good luck, or whether that meant like you are our trial run of this.
Yeah. Unclear as of now.
I want to see him with such a long beard.
For real. It would be, and truthfully, kind of like not as jacked. Like, yeah, man, he's been having a hard time. It's a good thing that we keep establishing that. Like, I know Chris is a dummy, but he is capable. He is capable, because it's like he's going to need to be if he's the only one in there. A big part of the comic is the villains group break up into factions. And one was run by Lex Luthor and one was run by Joker. And I've seen a quote circulating by James Gunn, but I haven't been able to source it.
Wait, so Lex Luthor and Joker are both in Salvation Run?
In Salvation Run, and they both lead different factions trying to do different things.
Okay.
And I saw a quote from James Gunn, but I haven't been able to source. But the quote was like, yeah, in the comics, it's a big Lex Luthor versus Joker story. That's not what we're doing. And my response is, but why not, though? That sounds awesome. Sounds really cool.
Because I don't feel like he's touching Joker.
Yeah, I think you're right. But it's just that's cool. But
do you think that there's a world in which, in Man of Tomorrow, Lex Luthor gets thrown into Salvation?
I think that's why he's saying that we're taking the core premise of a prison planet, and that's basically because what we're doing with it is functionally different. And a question I have, Roxy, is I'm unclear as to how much this is going to be resolved in Man of Tomorrow specifically, and how much of this is a larger arc. Because I've heard in James Gunn's interviews, he's like, yeah, I've got a 10-year plan. I kind of know that Lex, I think, did I pull it? He says, I kind of know the next 3 or 4 projects I'm going to be directing. And we'll see if I do them all, because he's like, I'm already pretty tired. So we'll see. So it's like, is Salvation a Man of Tomorrow plot line, or is it a longer term? Like, we're going to mention in Man of Tomorrow, it's going to matter, but it's not. We're not going to resolve it in Man of Tomorrow. That's a little unclear to me. I think, so Gunn explained in this virtual press conference that I was talking about, that Salvation will play a central role in Man of Tomorrow, but both concepts will be narrative threads. Both concepts being Salvation and Checkmate, which is also introduced in the finale, will be narrative threads that will run through the entire DCU, including Lanterns.
That makes a lot of sense to me, DJ, because I just don't think that you would introduce Salvation just to wrap it up and get rid of it. Like, it's cool to have a place that our metas could go and can't come back from / obviously can, because I'm sure things go awry. But
yes, yeah.
I like the concept of this place. Like, I like that it's just almost like another Belle Reve. Like it's another place that we can be sending people to check in. It's another Arkham. Like it's but different variety. I like putting players on our board. I like having different chess pieces that we can move that don't just go away after one project. And I think that while right now a Joker versus Lex in Salvation isn't on the table because that's not what we're doing with Lex yet, and we don't have our Joker yet.
Yeah.
In 5 years, 10 years, could that be something that we do because Salvation exists? That would be really cool if the place that Lex created or didn't create but found ultimately is his demise against all the people that he put there.
Yeah. To that point, Roxy, I think that's a great point. But I also wanted to run by you the idea of obviously Lex's goal would to put Superman there.
Right.
That would be, do you think there's a chance we see something like that, like Superman ends up getting jettisoned off to Salvation?
I do think so. I think that there's a lot of speculation that Man of Tomorrow is going to be Lex's movie.
Yeah.
And whether it's at some point Superman's put there and then he has to find his way back by the end of the movie, or whether it's the movie ends with Superman getting thrown in there, I think that it's something that I think we could really get behind and believe that Superman could be stuck there, as opposed to Arkham, where you can't really put Superman in Arkham and have me think like,
Superman,
right, like so, is there a world in which we've got Peacemaker and Superman stuck in Salvation, maybe a couple other metas? Hysterical. And yes.
Well, it's crazy to think about. There's no way. I feel pretty confident at this point. There's no way that David Corenswet, Superman, and Peacemaker aren't going to meet up at this point, because as weird as it is to say, right now, one of the cornerstones of the DCU is Peacemaker of all characters.
And he's working. People like him as a character. And James Gunn has spoken about this, that like Peacemaker is very important to this world. And I think that's cool because he's a little bit of our window in. Like, he's got the right amount of strength. He's got the jokes. And I do think that probably it won't be everybody from the show, but does that pull Harcourt into some things? Cool, fun.
Well, because we know Tim Meadows is going to be in Man of Steel, which to me leaves the door open for
more of that. I have PTSD. Man of Tomorrow.
Did I say Man of Steel again? Sorry. Man of Tomorrow. He's gonna be in Man of Tomorrow, which I think leaves the door open to the rest of the Checkmate characters, which Gunn was also talking about in this article. It says, in fact, Gunn was known he wanted to use Checkmate and Salvation for DC projects since before he and Safran were tapped to lead DC. Quote, that was always pretty instrumental in the overarching story that I'm telling with DCU. He said, I had mapped out what I thought the general story was, and the two important aspects to that were Checkmate and especially Salvation. So that'll be interesting to see how Checkmate factors into that, what characters we see, whether it ropes in Amanda Waller, because obviously her daughter's a part of it. Because in the comic, they mentioned in the article, in the comics, Amanda Waller's a part of the whole Checkmate operation as well.
Who's going to be Amanda Waller?
They got to bring Viola. Okay, so originally when they did their presentation of like, this is what the DCU is going to be, they said they were going to do a Waller show, and they said Viola Davis was returning for that.
Right.
I doubt the Waller show is still on the table, because I haven't heard about it since. And I think they've axed the Authority. I keep hearing that they're not doing the Authority movie, so I would be surprised to learn if the Waller show's on the line. But if me, fan DJ, I don't think they've tapped the full potential of Viola Davis as Amanda Waller.
Same.
So I'm hoping more of that, please and thank you.
If you're her, do you want to do that?
I mean, you got to feel like you're in better hands than you were in the previous one. So maybe, I hope so, because she's great, and she's great in the role.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
It would be really weird to recast her.
I don't even know who you'd get. I don't know nobody springs to mind because that would be as good in the role. And I'm sure there's an actress that could destroy it. But it's just one of those but Viola Davis is perfect for that role.
I mean, sticking in the Shondaverse, Kerry Washington would be pretty cool.
Yeah, she'd be pretty cool.
No, but I agree with you. I think Viola's perfect. Yeah,
and I think Waller is one of the most interesting characters in the entire DC canon, and so I would like to see. She just occupies such a unique position that I don't think any other character in DC occupies, or even any character in Marvel occupies. Such a morally, and that's one of the things where I feel like we haven't really gotten full Waller. Is both Suicide Squad movies kind of positioned her as more like a villain, and Waller's more complicated than that. And I think that's really interesting. And especially, I'd love to see her bounce off Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor. That'd be so cool. And she's got to have feelings about salvation and shit. Like, she's got to have thoughts on it. It'd be interesting if she comes in and is like, no, this is too far, man.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
King of New York said that Gunn said recently that both Waller Show and Authority are still happening, but they're having trouble with them. I didn't read that. That's interesting. I would understand that they'd be having trouble with them.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that the Waller Show gets repurposed into a Checkmate show with a lot of those cast members returning. And then King of New York also says, he said it'll have an effect on Creature Commando Season 2. That doesn't surprise me at all. If you were going to throw anybody on Salvation, those would be the characters you'd do it with.
I kind of thought, you know how people were speculating or thought that there was going to be a big cameo in the finale of Peacemaker? I kind of thought it was going to be Viola.
Yeah. Well, because she showed up in Season 1, so that wouldn't be a huge stretch.
Like, to confirm that she is our Amanda moving forward. I thought that would have been cool, but
if you keep anybody,
Shazam.
Yeah, God damn it. Anyway.
James Gunn posted like highlight of my career that they were on the show. I was like, you just love them.
God bless, and also what was the other one? Nelson. God bless you. Felt a little indulgent, but God bless you. So we'll see. The last thing I want to mention, Roxy, I don't know if you saw this, but James Gunn, when asked whether there was any alternative universes he wanted to visit but couldn't, Gunn started laughing. Quote, I wanted them to open the door and see Deadpool in a room. He said, still giggling. I talked to Ryan Reynolds about it, but I would have had to go through some pretty big hoops to do that. And he wanted to do it. And then he said, oh, that's all anybody's going to talk about now is fucking Deadpool in the other room. I should have never said it. That would have been funny. It would have been very hard to do.
I did see that because that was everywhere. Yes. And I thought to myself, that would have brought down the house. Like, that would have been amazing. I wish it wasn't so hard to do, because then it would have been amazing.
Well, and to his point though, you're 100% right. But to your point though, his point is he said, like, I said it and now everybody's going to talk about that. It wouldn't have mattered if that had happened in your finale. None of the other things you set up would have mattered to anybody. All they would have talked about was Deadpool in the portal.
Totally.
You know what you could have probably gotten away with? Here's the two I would have floated: is Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. That one you can do no problem, one assumes. I don't
think Ryan would want to do that. He seems very anti.
Yeah, the other one I think they should have done, and I would have pushed for if there was a writer's room for it and I was in it, is they open a door and we see what happened to Season 1 Chris Smith that is hypothetically still in the Zack Snyderverse. Like, have the Nightmare, you know, at the end of Justice League Snyder Cut, the Nightmare version with Batman in the trench coat and Joker's in the straitjacket. Peacemaker that's in the Nightmare universe, and you're like, that universe, we never resolved that plot line. It just, the Snyderverse just became the Nightmare universe, the end. Darkseid won in that universe.
Hurting my head. No, too much.
Real quick, Discord questions. Mike Joyce, do you think Hawkgirl will end up imprisoned on Salvation because of her actions in Superman?
No.
Okay. Buy one.
I think that would be wild if we put Hawkgirl in Salvation immediately, but ultimately maybe, but no, not because of that.
I do think it is interesting that you bring that up, Mike Joyce, because in the comics it was pretty much, we're going to dump our villains here. The mandate for Salvation here is it's a Lex Luthor world, so we could presumably, and the first person is a hero, so we could see other heroes, like we speculated with Superman, other heroes be dumped there. Buy one said, does James Gunn have a plan, or is he just throwing everything at the wall and saying we'll figure it out later? I think he pretty clearly has a plan. What do you think, Roxy?
That would be insane if he didn't have a plan. Yeah. One of the things we didn't talk about this week, though, DJ, is the possible purchase of Warner Brothers by Paramount.
Boo.
And all of the speculation that they're going to out an Axe, Gunn, and Safran.
Boo.
So I think that would be insane. And the reason I think it'd be so insane that I've been talking about all week is because this is the first time DC has a plan that we've seen in a long time. So yes, very clearly.
And I'm not saying that if they do buy, which by the way, that would be years down the line, because it takes, I mean, usually, who knows now, but usually that takes time for whatever. One, they shouldn't buy it, because what is it going to be? Paramount, Skydance, Warner Brothers Discovery? Get the fuck out of here. Like, that's fucking parody shit. And also, I wouldn't, if it does happen, I wouldn't put it past the Max and Gunn, because it seems like the people running Skydance and now CBS are working on ideological levels as opposed to business decision levels.
Right, for sure. But I don't think that they will, because money rules. And by the time I think that, I think Gunn's going to make the Warner Brothers a lot of money.
We live in kind of a dystopia, so maybe it'll happen, but I hope it doesn't. Leonard Kim, do you think it's more likely that we resolve what happened in the finale in season 3 of Peacemaker or Man of Tomorrow? I do have a quote here where James Gunn talks about, Gunn indicated that as of now, he isn't planning on bringing Peacemaker back for another season. Quote, this is about the other stories in which this cliffhanger will play out. He said he was quick to add that he hasn't ruled out a season 3. Never say never, but right now, this is about the future of the DCU. So, Roxy, do you think we'll get a season 3 of Peacemaker?
I do, ultimately, but I don't think it's going to be in a year.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that completely. All right, gang. Roxy, where can they find what you're working on?
Everywhere at Roxy Stryer, and on Wednesdays and Sunday nights, I go live on my YouTube, youtube.com/Roxy Stryer.
Check that shit out. Check out graveyardshiftcomic.com to check out my new Kickstarter. It's a new horror comic called The Graveyard Shift. If you like kind of horror comedy, irreverent style stories, you should check it out. We got a bunch of incredible art, bunch of cool covers. You can get drawn in the comic, bunch of cool stuff. Please go check that out. And you can find me at DJ Talks Trash. And we will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.